So here we are again. We are delving into and really digging deep into our self-love, self-discipline, and self-discovery, because these are the foundations of who we are to become, right? The best version of ourselves. And we're going to do this with lots and lots of kindness, because we need kindness too, but we're going to push ourselves. We're going to push ourselves towards our future that we are looking for and wanting in life. So what is this area that we're going to talk about today? It's physical health and nutrition. And which one do we always start with? Well, that's self-discovery, right? Because we have to discover what it is in each of these areas that really works for us in the long run. So we're going to learn what foods and exercises make our body feel at its best. Now, if you haven't done this before, for me at least, it's a lot of discovery, right? It's a lot of changing things up. For some people, you can eat 6 small meals a day and feel great. For some, it's 3, and for some, it's 2. Some people really need to fast or intermittent fast, right? And that really helps them. And then when it comes to exercising, it's just all what works for your body, right? Some of us like to run a lot, and some of us can't because of our knees or some other aspect of our body. So walking is best. Then there's always weightlifting, and that can be a lot of fun too for a lot of people, but it looks differently again because somebody might be lifting 50 pounds and you might be lifting 10, because it just really is all where we are starting from or where we're at. And reps could look different as well. I know for me, I found that intermittent fasting is the best thing on a daily basis, and to eat smaller meals, because for whatever reason, that's how my body responds. And for exercising, thankfully, I love to run. So I get to run, but I also like to jump rope and lift weights. So I switch off and on every other day. And then I have my weekends for myself, whether that is doing something else physical or just kind of doing things around the house. Again, it's just all about discovering what works best for you and then sticking to that routine. And so we're going to do this with self-love. We're going to appreciate our body at every stage that we're at, and we're not going to fixate on unrealistic ideals, right? And I think this is really hard when we have so much access to social media nowadays, where we will follow people, or we will see, people that have such a great life or work out really hard or eat all the best foods, and we have a great relationship, right? But what we don't see in the end is we don't see what their true life is actually like, and we don't see the struggle. So if you see somebody that looks super fit, you probably aren't watching the journey that happened with that person to get that way, right? And it's not just the journey of lifting weights, it's the mental journey that can be really, really hard to stick with. A good look at this is with athletes. We see them performing at such a high level, and sometimes we'll think, well, we can't do that because we're not them. But what we don't see is they started as a teenager, right? Or maybe they started as a kid and just kept going with what they love to do, and now they're doing it at a high level. And it doesn't mean that you can't do it at a high level. You may not be athlete in the end because maybe you're 30 when you're starting, or 40, but it still doesn't mean that you can't compete in these certain areas at a different level and continue to do it. With jiu-jitsu, you've got master levels, which are for the older people, right? I think it's like 30 and above that you start out masters 1 and 2, and you go up from there. So you can still compete in this arena. You just may not at the age of 60, if you're starting out, or at the age of 40, want to go compete in a ring, because that's just not who you are. And that's totally fine, right? We're going to appreciate ourselves. We're going to appreciate what we do and how our body is going to change for us. And the last one is self-discipline. So this means we're going to stick to a meal plan, and we're going to exercise routine that supports long-term health, right? So we discovered what we like to do. We're going to love where we are, and then we're just going to have to do it after that point. We're going to have to figure out what foods work best and stick with them. And we're probably going to have to decrease things like pop, if we have any of that in our lives. Maybe sugary coffees, decrease those. Decrease the sugars that we take in, the processed sugars, maybe increase more of the natural sugars like fruits instead of all that junk food. And we might want to decrease processed food. So that means we might spend a little bit more time in the kitchen, but overall your body's probably going to thank you for that. I really don't believe that processed food is fantastic for us. I think it can really weigh us down and make it really hard to do an exercise routine. And that's the other part, is we're going to do the exercise routine, right? We're going to figure out what exercises work for us, and then we're going to stick to them. And we're going to keep going. And when days get really, really hard, because they will, or when, the night before you don't want to go run or jump rope or whatever it is that you do, you're going to do it anyways. You're going to get up and you may go a little bit slower, maybe jump rope for a little less time, maybe not run as many miles or walk as many miles, but you're still going to do it, because our self-esteem and our self-worth increases when we do things that are hard for us and we know that we can accomplish them. And then it gets easier. Not saying it's not going to get harder again, because it can, right? But it gets easier, and our self-worth and self-esteem increase, and we learn that we can do hard things in life. So now we're on to the comment section, right? My favorite part, because I love to hear from all of you. I want to know, do you struggle with your physical health and nutrition? Is this a hard area for you? Or do you have this on lockdown? Do you really excel? And maybe do you excel because it's been really hard on you and you've learned a lot now? And maybe you have some pointers you can share with others on here. Remember, I think we learn the best from others' examples, and not just somebody saying try this or try that. It's from real people doing it and showing us that life is hard, but we can do hard things in life. So drop a comment and let's get the conversation started.